Hello, my name is Barbara Oleynick, and I am the author of Blessed is Her Name. This work is based on the writings of the 17th century nun, Sister Mary of Jesus of Ágreda, Spain, who received divine messages from God and the Blessed Mother, telling her that she should write the history and divine life of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And she obeyed that command. And 4,000 pages later, four volumes, she had the mystical city of God. The work has been approved by the Vatican as a means to increase your devotion to the Virgin Mary. And in the 18th century, Redemptorist priests created a German adaptation. And that version was read by a priest from Chicago, Father George Blatter, Blatter, who was so taken by it that he wanted to actually read what Sister Mary of Jesus actually wrote. So he learned Spanish and studied and read every single page. And that's what he wrote, the English adaptation, which was later produced. It was published in 1912. This is the book, and it's called The City of God. And I'm showing this to you because this book, this is how I got involved. In the fall of 1999, I was in my local Catholic bookstore, Baker and Sons, and I was just looking for something else to read. I had just finished getting my MFA in writing musical theater from NYU, and believe it or not, my thesis project was the musical The Miracle of Fatima. So I was already writing about the Virgin Mary. And you can read all about that and how that happened on the website, themotherofgod.org. That's a whole nother story. But I wasn't religious. I hadn't been to church in 13 years. Anyway, so I bought the book and started reading it. This is in the fall of 99. It took me a year to get through the 1,000 pages, not because of the length of the book. It was because the information was so deep and dense and profound. And at times I would weep thinking, I'm not even worthy to read this. Why am I've been given this to read? And I stuck to it. In December of 2000, December 8th, actually, I sat down in front of my computer and I started writing a screenplay, something I had never done before. And 2 weeks later, this is what I had. Blessed is Her Name. And this is my original screenplay. This is a better draft. It's the final draft version. That's another software program I got to learn how to use. But I had my manuscript, and I had a dear friend, Sister Madeline, an older nun. She and I used to go to daily mass together at Assumption Church in Fairfield. And I asked her if she would read it. And then I had the pastor of Assumption read it. And then I had another friend who said, listen, I have a Marian scholar who teaches up in Canada. Why don't you send it up there? So I did. So I had a Marian scholar, a priest, and a nun, and they all read it, and all were like blown away. They just thought it was amazing. And I went, okay, but now what do I do with it? And I had it on my disk, floppy disk at the time. I didn't have any flash drives, didn't even know about that. I just let it sit. And luckily, when they started doing cloud storage and whatnot, I ultimately uploaded everything. But I still have my original disk that it was on. Can't use it because I don't have a computer that takes a disk. But anyway, I had this work and didn't know, what to do with it, so I didn't do anything with it until this past November, when I was pushed, and I mean pushed, from above, turn it into a narrative. And like Fatima, and again, I encourage you, please go to the motherofgod.com, .org. I'm sorry, the motherofgod.org. You'll understand what I mean when I was pushed. And so a month later, so in all of December, this past December, I turned the screenplay into a narrative. And I said, okay, now what? What do I do with it? Put it in 5 other languages. I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Unluckily, I had contacts around the globe because of Fatima that's been done in other languages in other countries. So I had someone in the Philippines, I had someone in Poland, I had someone in the Dominican Republic. I had a young lady who was from Brazil and she was visiting here. She was my daughter's nanny, and my daughter's mother-in-law is Russian. So I said, I wonder. And so what I did was, before I even approached them, I went online and found DeepL. And that, again, that link will be below in the description. But DeepL is a phenomenal translation program. They do a fabulous job. Google Translate also does an amazing job. So I could upload the entire document and just select which languages I want and got them. And then I sent them off to each one of the ladies, respectively. Marta Mezuzewski is in Poland. So I sent it off to Marta. Renjita Bermudez is in the Philippines. Claudia Gonzalez is in the Dominican Republic. Elena Mpuku is here in the United States. She did the Russian. And Amanda Da Costa Vietosa is here in the United States, but heading back to Brazil this month. We're going to miss her. And so I asked if they would read it and then review it and edit it. And they were all blown away how really, really accurate the translations were. There were a few where the like pronouns or prepositions needed to be fixed, and colloquialisms like that didn't quite translate into their language that they had to adjust and rewrite. But otherwise, it was amazing. So it took about a month. I got those back. And then I went on Word, my Microsoft Word. I uploaded or downloaded actually the dictionaries for each one of those so I could review each one of those languages and making sure that it was saying what I wanted it to say or what I was instructed for it to say. So, there was several layers of reviewing every single word that's in each one of these narratives. So I had the narratives, I had PDFs, created a beautiful book cover. I'm done. Well, no, I wasn't done, because then I was pushed to create an audiobook of it. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness gracious, audiobook. So I'm thinking just English, right? So I, worked with a gentleman in Bridgeport. He had a little recording studio. His name is John. And he and I, it took about a month for various reasons for me to record this audiobook. And I'm thinking, okay, English is done. Record the other books. And I'm thinking, how am I possibly going to do that? I couldn't ask the ladies in the other countries. It would have just been way too time consuming if it took me this long to do English. And I know I wrote it, and I'm an actress. I know how to, do that type of the voiceovers. So I said, let me see if I can find some local people. So I did. But by the time I put a schedule together of 5 other languages, I was working around the clock and there was no way that I could do it. So after about 2.5 weeks, I had to just say, guys, I can't do this anymore. So then I had to figure out a way how to do this. So what did I do? I went online and I found 11 Labs. 11 Labs is an AI program that allows you to, people, actors, actresses upload their voices and they create AI voices as well. And I simply just um, recreated all of these audiobooks in the specific languages. But it was a learning curve and it wasn't that easy, uh, but I managed to pull it off. And I am going to do a tutorial on how it actually, how I do that. But for this particular video, I am not. But 11 Labs. And so in doing the English, I did all the voices. For the other languages, I needed a narrator. I needed and the different characters: Jesus, Joseph, Lucifer, God, Mary. Everybody have their own distinct voices. So I used one narrator, Rita. Again, these are people from another, I have no idea who they are, but they uploaded their voice and it worked for me. She did Portuguese and Spanish. And then I had Veronica did Russian and Polish, and Biname Bim did Tagalog, and I did English. So I created the audiobooks. Once I had the audiobooks, I thought I was done. I created, 4 parts, divided up the chapter, because there's 44 chapters in this book. So 44 chapters, 6 languages. I think I'm done, right? Well, that wasn't what they had in mind. Well, now that I have all those all uploaded and I'm going to sit back and take a bit of a break, you create audio visual. And I'm thinking, what? Audio visual? How am I going to do that? And so again, started researching, started seeing how do I make that happen. That's how I got involved with ChatGPT. So, all of these programs are so invaluable, it's not funny. But you have to learn the nuances of how to use them. In ChatGPT, I started off, okay, here's my chapter. This is what I want it to look like. I need an illustration. Create me Mary and Joseph on the donkey. Mary on the donkey, they're going to Bethlehem. And I would work on this big screen where I would have ChatGPT, and then I would have on my smaller screen that I could just drag over text. I started to get a little smart about it. I figured, okay, if I need to write prompts to get the effect, to get the image that I want, maybe I should just have ChatGPT write the prompt for me. So I started learning, and thank God for YouTube, because I did research a lot, found a lot of fabulous things on online. And so I would write a simple prompt, or not a prompt. I would write the prompt for them to write the prompt. I would say, write a prompt for this context, for an image that's going to depict a woman on a donkey and a man next to her, and they're walking. I didn't give, I was already working in, the BC, so the period had already been established. But what you have to do is be very clear on what style do you want? What is the format that you want? Do you want it as a reel, a vertical reel? Do you want it as a landscape format? And you want things to be consistent, because that's one of the biggest complaints with people in using AI to create illustrations or audiovisual books, is that it's not consistent. AI does not think like us. AI wants very specific not details, but very specific instructions, and the shorter the better. So ultimately, we had our images of Mary and Joseph of what they look like. And if I had an image, if they're on the donkey, she's on the donkey and he's walking next to her, and I wanted to have another scene with them talking to one another, I would upload the image of them on the donkey. She's on the donkey and he's walking next to her, so that I would get those specific characteristics in the next illustration that I needed. And I didn't have to write a whole bunch of stuff. I literally would just upload an image using this illustration or this image as a reference, create these two people facing one another. That's all I had to say. And I had to add every single time, and I still do, because I'm only on chapter 17. I have a lot more to go. But I would always say at the end of each prompt, created in landscape, 16 by 19 pixelation, and in the same style. So then I take that and I go into Canva. Great program, wasn't familiar how to use it, learned how to use it, and boy, there's a ton of amazing things that you can do with Canva. And so I'm going to use an example of a 7-minute chapter of one of the chapters. And so I would create an opening page in Canva, and I would begin by selecting create, and then I would select a landscape video for YouTube, and then I would add a beginning page, and I would duplicate that because it was the cover and it said the same things. But then in between, I would create 1 minute long, 60-second long pages, because those pages now I can split the page as I was adding illustrations or images. To make it even better, I would then take those static image, not a lot of them, because I didn't want to make it too busy, but one or two, like for instance, Mary and Joseph, as she's on the donkey and they're talking, I upload that static image to another program, another AI program, and that transforms. It's called Vidu, VIDU. That transforms text to images, images to video. So I would upload that static illustration, that image, and I would create a 4, 5, or 8-second clip in this, whether it was 720 pixelation and or 1080. And I would say very simply, woman is speaking. I didn't add a lot, and you then get to choose. They give you a drop-down menu of how much action do you want. If it's set at auto, then they're going to create as much action as they possibly can. It doesn't always work out well. If you say small amount, medium amount, large amount, or dynamic, it gives you a lot of options. I would always say small to medium, and if I want Mary talking, I would just say woman talking. Then I would repeat it and say man talking, so that and I would be, and that takes a lot of practice. And even with practice, it doesn't always come out the way you want it to. So then I have now my illustrations, I have my video, and I would upload, and this is what I just finished doing chapter 17, but I upload my audiobooks, and I start with English because I know what it's going to be saying, and I know, how the scenes are going to be depicted and what illustrations are going to go with the text. And then I also, every single chapter is underscored with, it's called Hymn to Mary. And this is in a little aside, but I wrote Hymn to Mary in 2000, I'm going to say 2001 or 2002. It was my very first visit to Fatima. I was there for about a month, and I was in a small little convent right in the heart of Fatima. And in the chapel it was a tiny little chapel. I wrote Hymn to Mary, and it's in the show now. It's in the musical, but the orchestrated version of it, and it's expanded, was created by Junior Lamba Bastura, who was from the Dominican Republic. Young guy, super talented. So that runs about 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes long. So then I open up another program that I work with called Audacity, and I upload up the Hymn to Mary in Audacity, and then I duplicate that track for as long as I need it. Tagalog is always the longest of all the chapters. So if English is 7.5 minutes, Tagalog might be 8.5, maybe 9 sometimes. So I'll make my the length of my underscoring at least 10 minutes long, so that I can always trim it down if I need to. And so then once that's all pulled together and I've created everything, and it might take me, I'll give you an example. That 7.5 minute video took me about 6 hours to create. The Birth of Christ, chapter 15, which is 14.5 minutes, took me 14 hours to do, because I just wanted it to look a certain way and give the experience to whoever is listening and watching, that they're enthralled by it. How I'm just so excited that I get to do this. So anyway, that's how I create, blessed is her name, audiovisual experiences. And I used to teach college. I just stopped teaching this year for 25 years. I love teaching. And if you need help putting your audiobook into an audiovisual, drop me a line, send me a comment. Please subscribe and like. All of these, the first 15 chapters, and including the history, so there's actually 16, are available on our website, themotherofgod.org, and those are free. And they're also on YouTube. I have 6 podcasts, and the first 16 chapters are on that as well. It's the Meeting Marys series. And everything is language specific. So if you're looking for it in your language, it's there. And then I also have it on my YouTube channel, Blessed is Her Name, so that they're all under Blessed is Her Name. But the YouTube channel is actually, I release 1 chapter a week, because it's a lot of work. There's nothing less than 40 hours to create 1 chapter, in between the writing and the translating and the editing and the video creating and the everything that goes around. But I am beyond fortunate, beyond blessed to be able to serve in this way. And I thank you for listening. Please share, please like. And as I said, the first up till the birth of Christ, and including the birth of Christ, is free. After that, chapter 16 through 44, we're asking for a $10 subscription. It will help immensely. So I thank you, and God bless you. Have a wonderful night. Bye.